Now, the commander-in-chief of Ukraine's armed forces says the war with Russia has reached a stalemate. General Valery Zaluzny says the conflict could soon become a war of attrition unless the military receives more technologically advanced equipment. Ukraine says Wednesday marked the heaviest night of shelling so far this year, with more than 100 settlements bombarded in just 24 hours.
In the southern Ukrainian city of Kherson, residents go about repairing their damaged homes. Local officials say this round of Russian shelling killed one person and left 2 wounded. And though the eyes of the world have turned towards the Middle East, the war in Ukraine still rages on.
The shelling is constant, and the local community is suffering. At least 30 shells hit every day.
Further up the Dnipro River, a key demarcation line in the war, an early morning drone attack in the city of Nikopol killed 1 and wounded 6. Homes, businesses and shops were also damaged in the attacks. Kherson and Nikopol are just 2 of more than 100 towns and cities to be bombarded in just 24 hours, say Ukrainian authorities. That's the highest number in a single day so far this year. In Moscow, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said that Russia was making advances in Ukraine and that the new weapon supplies from NATO had made very little difference on the ground.
The Ukrainian armed forces are being depleted, and their demoralization is growing. Despite receiving new types of weapons from NATO, the Kyiv regime is suffering defeat.
The situation in Ukraine looks to have shifted to a new phase, a war of attrition. And with the situation in Gaza gripping the world's attention, Kyiv will be hoping its fight is not overlooked.
Let's speak to Matthias Bullinger, joining us now from the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. Matthias, good to see you again. More than 100 settlements struck in just 24 hours. Among these communities, is there a sense that they are now less safe than they were at the start of the year?
Most of the communities that were hit were villages near the front line, and they have been very unsafe. Many of them are almost deserted because it's very difficult to live there. They're shelled all the time. Besides that, there were also attacks deeper inside the country. An oil refinery has been hit by drones, but we are not seeing this kind of barrages all over the country that we've seen last fall. Not yet. Some expect them to set in as the weather gets colder in order to hit the energy infrastructure again. So for these communities, life is very unsafe there, and that so many have been hit in a single night is, of course, something that points to heightened activities along the front line. But it's not the qualitative change that that would lead us to believe that we're entering a new phase of Russian attacks.
Now, as we've heard, the Ukrainian commander-in-chief says Ukraine will need a massive technological leap in weaponry to break the deadlock on the battlefield. What would that leap look like?
Yeah, what he has said is basically that we are in something similar to World War I, where technology on both sides of the frontier of the line leads to a stalemate. Both sides are equally strong. Russia has more artillery, more weapons, more ammunitions. Ukraine has a slight edge in what is with the new deliveries of Western weapons in what concerns the quality, the modernity of these weapons. And what he's basically saying that what will decide the war is an edge in technology, new technological developments, especially in drone warfare. In robotic warfare, for example, remote-controlled minesweeping, etc., etc., and a combination of many such new developments, not one magic weapon, but a combination that might give one or the other side the edge, and that's what Ukraine is aiming for. That means that it's not a question of one or two extra systems being delivered from the West, although these are needed too, of course. That's what everybody here says. There is disappointment with what has been delivered so far, saying that it's always enough to maintain the position, but never enough to get ahead. But he's hinting at the qualitative change will probably not come from these Western deliveries, but from new developments on the battlefield.
Thank you so much for your reporting. That's Matthias Budinger for us in Kyiv.